Midday in the Queen City, business is booming, jumping through the hoops of holding companies that are expanding in Warren County and also going from successful entrepreneur to full-time philanthropist. Let's do lunch. Cincinnati is a city that means business. Fortune 500 company HQs, renowned institutions like Children's Hospital and the Cincinnati Zoo, and letters that everyone here knows: TQL, GE, CVG, UC, and X. It's also a city that's large enough for new ideas to take root and grow. You know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and you're in business. I'm Jack Crumley, and this is The Working Lunch. Hello, welcome to The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. This is our hour-long business show here on The Crown, where we bring you headlines about what local companies are doing, business expansions, and more. We bring you exclusive interviews with local leaders, CEOs, and business owners, and we try to squeeze in a bite to eat, maybe something to drink before you go back to face the afternoon. Lots to keep track of every day. Glad to have you here. Let's get into it to start off with. Cincinnati business headlines presented by First State Bank. Built on belief and committed to doing right by our communities, First State Bank offers checking, savings, and mortgage services all from your phone. They believe in this community and they believe in you. Visit FSB4me.com. That's First State Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender. An exciting announcement about Mitsubishi Electric. Jobs Ohio putting out the word saying that Mason is going to be the location of a new company called Mehits US, M-E-H-I-T-S U.S. New company called Mehits US. Now, stay with me. Mitsubishi Electric Hydronics and IT Cooling Systems is an Italy-based company that's long had a spot on Bethany Road in Mason. That is part of the Japan-based Mitsubishi Electric Group. But this new Mehits US company going to be going into 154,000 square feet in one of the wings of that Bethany Road campus to make and test industrial air conditioning for both comfort and IT cooling. That's got to be a growth industry. A statement by Mike Corbo, who's the president and CEO of Mitsubishi Electric U.S. Holdings. That's another company, and I think it's here locally. Holding companies are challenging to sift through. Mike Corbo in that statement thanks both the city of Mason and the state of Ohio, which have played a key role in the last 8 expansions over the last 30 years. The city, the state, and Ready Cincinnati, the economic development company, all worked to put together an incentive package that involves tax credits and more. Jobs Ohio is a semi-private organization, so it's not legally obligated to go into all the details about deals like this and the incentives that are being offered. As far as the effect on working people, the good news there, this new company coming to town, going to mean 180 new jobs. When it comes to the business of education, voters in Cincinnati public schools are going to have a decision to make this fall. The school board last night voted to put an earned income tax levy on the November ballot. It is the first time that CPS has put a new money levy up for a vote in a decade, and the very first time for an earned income tax levy. This would add a 0.75% tax to income for people who live in the school district, and if it passes, it would generate tens of millions of dollars per year. This is a tax on earned income. It doesn't affect things like Social Security or retirement. It's not a property tax. However, some board members at last night's meeting debated for a bit about what a big levy this is going to be for voters. That decision last night comes after people have been urging the school board to go to voters to get more money, as the district is looking at a multi-million-dollar deficit, in large part because of cuts in state funding. We've talked before on this show about money for education and how Ohio is now publicly funding vouchers for private school, now up to the tune of $1 billion. Last month, Cincinnati Public Schools did cut more than 100 positions trying to deal with these funding gaps. But again, a big decision coming by voters in November. And finally, we have not had a good business fraud story in a while. The U.S. Attorney's Office For Southern Ohio, says 43-year-old Benjamin Canty of Hyde Park has now been sentenced to 40 months in federal prison for defrauding people out of $6.5 million. Canty started a business called Rumby, which was supposed to handle pickup and delivery for laundry and dry cleaning. Started back during COVID. The feds say that he lied to his investors for years about revenue and profit and bank balance and other things that are fairly easily disproven using math. A statement from prosecutors gives one example in the case. He claimed that Rumby ended the month of May 2022 with $1.5 million in the bank, when that bank balance was really negative 53 grand. Canty pleaded guilty back in the fall, and again now he's been sentenced to 40 months behind bars. Jack's Big Bite is where we focus on one particular story happening in our community, a community we believe in with our partners at First State Bank. Stop into one of their local branches or visit online at fsb4me.com to access all the helpful tools and services at First State Bank, built on belief and committed to doing right by our communities. For today's Big Bite, presented by First State Bank, we're talking about food. Specifically food insecurity and all the different factors that go into it and what's being done locally about it. It might all be more than you realize. First off, we're talking cost. A recent CNBC report about the cost of groceries in general is worth revisiting. You can see there, American grocery product purchases were essentially flat in the year 2025, and you can see that they have been largely down the first 6 months of this year. Analysts say that is coming from a variety of reasons. First, some people are simply buying less food at the grocery store because they're on GLP-1 weight loss drugs. We've talked about this before. Those users report spending 4% less in their first 6 months of being on the drug. But another factor we've seen for months now is the cost of food still high in a variety of categories. Yahoo Finance got into the meat and potatoes, if you will, of that with Bureau of Labor Statistics data earlier this year. And according to the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, or FINRA, about 55% of Ohioans are living paycheck to paycheck. That puts people living in this state much closer to having to miss a meal than you would expect, just because of money and needing to spend that on things like rent or utilities or gas versus food. SNAP benefits, or food stamps, have long been there to make sure that Americans get help buying food, particularly families. However, the One Big Beautiful Bill passed last year does cut some of those benefits and puts new requirements for people on SNAP. People on SNAP between the ages of 55 and 64, along with parents of older teen children, along with veterans, along with people with no home, and kids aging out of foster care, now all have work requirements in order to qualify for that government help with food. That law also makes refugees ineligible for SNAP assistance. Another angle that is driving up the cost of food is food waste. The U.S. EPA prepared the report estimating the cost of food waste to American consumers. That's the name of the report. It found the cost of food waste to each U.S. consumer to be $728 a year. And for a household of four, the annual cost is just under $3 grand. Average cost, $56 a week. I've got one other chart for you to see from that report. This is right here. Check out this blue column that's almost over to the right. That is per capita food waste in pounds per year by food category there on the left. Number one is food with added sugar and sweeteners, 37 pounds. But the fresh vegetables is coming in second place with 31 pounds. Those are two wildly different categories, both seeing waste, and that waste is costing us money. In terms of fighting food insecurity, obviously there are a number of nonprofit organizations all across the country and here locally that are dedicated to feeding people. Hamilton County's Wasted Food Stops With Us program has the Freshness Squad, giving tips on how to keep a tight fade, popping your collar, wearing your school uniform jacket inside out, and not letting Carlton... Those are the wrong freshness tips. This is for things like food storage, keeping mushrooms in a breathable bag, and only washing produce like berries just before you're actually going to eat them. And of course, there are a number of corporate efforts as well, all to fight hunger. They often involve teaming up with a nonprofit or bringing a big local food company to start out with. We're going to go with this here from Kroger.
We believe everyone should have access to fresh, healthy food. But every community across America is affected by hunger, and so much of the food produced in America goes to waste. That's why the Kroger Company's Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Impact Plan focuses on supporting our local communities by rescuing food that might otherwise be thrown away, with 100% of our stores partnering with local food banks to donate surplus food. In fact, since 2017, we've donated 3 billion meals to food banks and hunger relief agencies, in part by rescuing nearly 600 million pounds of surplus food that would have gone to landfills. To date, our customers have donated over $50 million to the Kroger Company's Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Foundation, with every dollar raised going to support our community's food banks and hunger relief agencies. And you can help too by rounding up to the nearest dollar the next time you shop. Because together, we can make a difference.
Along with it being a program, Kroger also started the Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Foundation with the mission of supporting nonprofit groups, social entrepreneurs, and creative thinkers focused on improving food security and ending food waste. The foundation cares for communities one meal at a time and is guided by 3 pillars of collective action: catalyzing innovation and creating a more equitable food system. $7.4 million of total giving. That includes millions for improving charitable food and distribution, both nationally and at the local level. You can also see money on that chart there for treating food as medicine, trying to bridge the gap between surplus food and hunger, connecting people with food that's already readily available. And that charitable giving is going to involve names that you've heard here in the Cincinnati area for a while now. Names like the Free Store Food Bank, arguably maybe the most recognizable distributor. There's also Last Mile Food Rescue, where volunteers literally rescue perfectly good food that would otherwise go to waste. St. Vincent de Paul operates more than a dozen parish-based food pantries in Hamilton County. I've had Executive Director of Be Concerned, the People's Pantry of Covington, Andy Brunsman, on the show in the past to talk about his group's mission in northern Kentucky, and there are many more helping. It's a big problem. When it comes to feeding hungry people, there is one other video that I wanted to show you that struck me. Here, take a look.
It's 90% of what I consume.
You've been here since last night.
Yeah.
It's that important to get what you need.
Yes. And I don't keep the car running. I can't afford the gas, so I have sleeping bags to stay warm.
I still feel bad that I have to come up here and sit on a line, to get food. It's embarrassing as hell.
So that bit right there at the end is what I wanted to focus in on. That's a report by KPAX from late last year, but the bit where that man at the end said that he felt embarrassed is what got my attention. Letting people get help with dignity is a guiding principle for a lot of nonprofits in this area, including Impacting Tomorrow out of Loveland. That's an organization that has created the first holistic community campus in the country, helping local people get things like food, for sure, and also find health care, education, and more. Co-founder Ken Tracy is my guest, and he's going to be in here next. You are watching The Working Lunch on The Crown. Take a look at some stocks of local interest. There we go. Love that. Ooh, GE Aerospace moving up. Stick around. You're watching The Working Lunch on The Crown.
Our beliefs matter. They're reflected in our words and actions. At First State Bank, we believe in treating people well and have since 1884. Listening, caring, looking out for each other. It's what people deserve. It's what a real local bank does. While lots of things have changed over the years, our belief in you hasn't. First State Bank, built on belief.
This city has always had something to prove. While the rest of the country talked about us, we built our own voice. Blue collar, underdogs, built differently, overlooked, talked about like we were supposed to stay quiet. But that was never who we were, because this city doesn't wait for permission. And neither do we. And now, for the first time, Cincinnati has a network built in its image, because the biggest stories in this city deserve more than highlights. This isn't cable television. This isn't national media. This is ours. This is the Crown.
The Crown has you covered. Start your day with the first word. Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch. Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. Built for Cincinnati. First word for your morning sports. The working lunch for business that hits home. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
My name is Jack Crumley. I've been covering news in Cincinnati on the radio for the last 20 years. I grew up in Northeast Ohio, but Cincinnati has always felt like home since day one. I've seen so many things accomplished here, and now, with the working lunch, I get to write, read, and talk about them every day. Hard-working people with a drive and a dream. Innovative ideas that help shape this city. Cincinnati is a great city, and I'm excited to tell you about it every day. Welcome back to the Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley, and I am joined now by the co-founder and still on the board. Excuse me, no, you are the co-founder. You're the guy in general. Still on the board is for a different part of your job, and we're going to get to that in a second. This is Ken Tracy, the co-founder of Impacting Tomorrow, a nonprofit in Loveland that is doing tremendous work in offering not only food, like we talked about in that Big Bite segment, but also education and health care and dental care and all sorts of things. You guys have a facility that's all under one roof.
Yeah, it's a 45,000 square foot campus, and the whole idea, the model is to address the holistic approach of a person. I mean, it's real. And so we have a large warehouse that handles food logistics that come and go. We have, outside of probably the Free Store Food Bank, the second largest cold storage chain in the city. And we're able to manage a large turnover of food. But food is one of the things that we do. We also have a full medical, full dental, and we also have a pediatric occupational therapy program. And then in addition to that, we have a program called Carry Her, which we focus on diapers for the mom And we also focus on feminine hygiene for the ladies in high school.
So this is your nonprofit, Impacting Tomorrow, and the idea, it's on Ward's Corner in Loveland, and you guys recently opened up this idea that it's this holistic outfit that's all in one place. You're not bouncing from a traveling dentist doing good work for people out of a bus, and then going over to pick up your food for the day, and then maybe going to a clinic to get checked. Like, this is, families can get all the help that they need all in one place. Is that a demand that you saw where there was a hole on?
Yeah, number one, there's a couple of demands that's there. Number one, it is the holistic approach. All the studies we looked at, people were going from one organization to another, filling out endless amount of paperwork.
Yeah.
So at our facility, they fill out one piece of paperwork, get a membership card, and then they're part of something that is built around dignity. I think all of us, we go out on a regular basis, and we expect when we sit down at a restaurant to be treated with great service. Mm-hmm. It's good. It's good to sit down and have a good meal with people. I believe that no matter what social economic condition you are in, you deserve to have respect and be treated with a high level of dignity. So we pride ourselves in that. We make sure every guest coming in to our campus understands what we do, how we do it, and they feel part of the family, which is important to us.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's why in that, that video segment that I played just before we went to break, where it's this guy, he's in a truck and he's talking about how he worked his whole life and he feels bad for being in line to get food. Like, what a horrible feeling to have on top of all the other stress that you've got in your life, and the idea of people just being treated, not even politely, with dignity.
Yeah.
I think is a really wonderful core element of what you guys are doing.
Yeah. One of the interesting things, I always share this story because it's kind of touching to me. There was a mom that had come in with their 6-year-old son, and the mom had just been laid off and had been struggling for food and really now getting back because she lost her insurance, so she needed assistance from dental care. And then he was struggling in school and needed assistance helping with speech pathology. And she was having a problem getting into any of those services. Walks into our market, comes in, and the boy says, "We need to get out of here," because he's never seen anything like this. Mm-hmm. And then he went through it a couple of times, and the mom was saying, "No, it's all right." And then finally came up and saw the ice cream section that we have. Because of a corporate sponsor that we have, we get ice cream, and we have it right there. His mood instantly changed. Yeah. It was like, "Hey, Mom, can I have some?" And for the first time, she told me in almost 6 months, she was able to say yes to her son. Now, that right there
it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking, but we hear stories like that so many times. Yeah. And then he was struggling in school. Immediately, all he had to do was walk out the door, 2 doors down, went into pediatric occupational therapy, scheduled a meeting. Then after that, Mom went down, went to the dentist, scheduled a meeting with the dentist, all in one visit. So she didn't have to come back. Everything was taken care of right there. And that child, which we see over 95,000 children a year at our location, that child was taken care of.
Wow, Ken, that's amazing. I know we've got some footage that got sent over of just sort of what the inside of this looks like. There's so many different options and programs that you're offering right there. The market, the boutique, Grow Together, Health Source. There's so many different options that you have there. That feels like it's such a complicated thing to have put together. You and your wife founded this thing, and so much of it is based on data, like you were saying. And I think that's such a key part to making sure that what you're doing is worth people's time.
In business, I always work this way. SSPPT, big acronym. I always stuck with it. It was strategy, structure, process, people, and then technology. So we went back, and what was our strategy? Our strategy was to solve the issue of individuals that needed help to having to go from one location to another. So our strategy was, how do we do this? And then we built out a whole strategy around that. Once we had that strategy developed, we then said, all right, how are we going to structure this? And so we brought over 7 team members from our company who never grew up in the nonprofit world, and they went right at it. We took business analysts that broke down data. We took process people that broke down how do we deliver this service. And within a matter of 6 months, we had an entire operating system established with unbelievable partners like Health Source of Ohio, with Grow Together Therapy. We developed a seamless process, overlapped it with technology that tracks all the data, all the interaction, which gives us information for us to get better, to make sure those people are being taken care of.
You're running this like a business.
Oh, totally. It's a totally business structure. We have then built a methodology around it where we not only track the quantitative data, we also track the qualitative data, compress that. So now I'm able to give every single donor that gets involved with Impacting Tomorrow, I look at them making an investment to us.
Yeah.
And that investment deserves outcomes. That deserves a return. And I look at it in this standpoint, a social return. And that social return is we can tell them if that family is progressing or where, if they're not progressing, why, and we break all that data down. So at the end of the day, it's to make an impact for tomorrow, and maybe we can change the cycle of poverty. Maybe not in this generation, but maybe we can change it in the children's next generation.
And do you see, because of this data that you're getting in terms of the care that people get and the effect that it's having on them, the idea that you've got it all in one place makes people more likely to come to you versus maybe bouncing around to a bunch of different places?
Started it 6 years ago. We had 20,000 people. We're going to go over 200,000 this year.
Wow.
With that whole model, those are great numbers. I'm really glad we have great numbers like that. But more importantly, those people have been able to show us a path of how their lives are getting better. And so what we've been able to do is break down all that data, and we built out basically a family stabilizer program from a ladder of 1 to 10, 10 being, man, we're living well, 1, they're at crisis mode. We're able to track how they're doing within that ladder. And we've seen individuals that started off as a 2 and 3 are now at a 4 and 5. And as they progress, their families playing with less stress and being more stable.
What are the biggest challenges that you see for families right now? Because I think something that happens a lot is that people hear about the statistics and data about higher cost of food and inflation and higher utility bills and how close people are to being able to take care of themselves versus needing to ask for help. And I would wager that you see people that never thought they would be in this position more often than not.
I would agree 100% with what you just said there. The thing is that everyone is facing is the benefit cliff.
Yeah.
Over 75% of the people we see are working, but they can't afford. So they have to decide between, do I get groceries today or do I take my children to the dentist? Do I buy diapers or do I go see my pediatric therapist with my child? And the whole idea is we have to make sure we cover that gap, that cliff, so that they don't go off and they fall into a worse situation. Yeah. That's what's happening. So in some situations, yes, it could be food. In other situations, it could be medical care. In other situations, it could be diapers for that child. We're trying to fill in 5 of the 6 gaps that have been identified nationally that we've got to identify. And we're filling those, and progression is happening.
You said 75% of the people you see are working people?
75% of the people we are seeing are working, have jobs, but they have to make decisions on what they're going to spend their money on.
What was there a specific reason behind choosing the facility in Loveland on Ward's Corner? Because location plays a big part, I would imagine, in any sort of business or nonprofit. What was the logic behind the Ward's Corner location?
Size, warehouse space was big, but more importantly, what was so interesting, it's central. It's right off of 275. So we are within a 25-minute drive of the largest demographic of the greater Cincinnati area. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting, a lot of people say, well, transportation is a barrier. In some cases, yes, but what happens is if you identify the right partners that can drive those people to your facility, and then because of our medical facility, Medicaid and Medicare also provides free transportation to those locations, there you're eliminated a huge barrier. And because of that, our stats, we see more people west of 75 than we do east of 71.
That's an incredible stat. And you know that because of all the stuff you're keeping track of.
We know that because of what's happening.
That's extraordinary.
We have a heat map. I can tell you where all of the areas that are needing assistance come from. That's where we know where to put our next location. You have to always be thinking forward. You have to understand the data so that you know where can I address the next body of population.
Ken Tracy founded Impacting Tomorrow with his wife, by the way.
Yeah.
Who I think she was busy today.
She is.
But Ken founded Impacting Tomorrow with his wife. We're going to get into Ken's history and what brought him to this situation where he's now running this nonprofit, very much like a business. It's going to make sense once we get back to it, and we're going to have more on that when we get back from break. You're watching The Working Lunch on The Crown. Stick around.
Okay, who are you? Well, you have a First State Bank checking account, so you'll be getting cash back whenever you use it. Oh.
Open a checking account at First State Bank for cash back. First State Bank, built on belief.
How did you get in here?
What is The Crown? It's simple, really. Authentic Cincinnati entertainment. Not hot takes from a studio 3 states away. Not national noise pretending to know this city. Rather, bringing a voice to those who call the Queen City home. Where can I watch The Crown shows? Join us live from 7 to 11 a.m. for First Word and 12 to 1 for The Working Lunch on RESN. No live TV? No problem. Stream and interact with all of our content on major podcast, broadcast, and streaming platforms. The Crown is Cincinnati. Loud, passionate, competitive, proud. From early morning sports debates to the business leaders shaping the riverfront, to the fans, stories, moments, and culture that make this place move. Live shows, podcasts, documentaries, digital content built from Cincinnati, for Cincinnati. This is The Crown.
Hi, my name is Natalie Jones. Just your typical 40-year-old Cincinnati girl. Although, no, I'm not married or divorced. I don't have any kids, and I don't live in the neighborhood I grew up in, which is the West Side, by the way. But what I do have is a lot of freaking time, and I've been using it well. So come along with me on this grand adventure, because I've been trying all the new around town that you need to know about. This is Nat Tries That.
Hey, I'm Marissa Contapelli, one of the co-hosts on First Word and a features producer here on The Crown, where I will be out and about in Cincinnati bringing you the stories that you need to hear in the Queen City. Now, I know I'm from Cleveland, but I love my Cincy sports. I've been in Cincinnati for almost a decade now, spending the last 8 seasons with the Bengals as a team reporter and senior producer. I am so excited to be a part of the team here at The Crown, and I can't wait to bring you the latest from around the city.
Welcome back to The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. I am joined by Ken Tracy, the co-founder of Impacting Tomorrow, a nonprofit that is doing tremendous work in the community of a all-in-one holistic facility in Loveland, offering food and healthcare and occupational therapy and education. It's really tremendous work that you're doing. But I'm absolutely fascinated by your story of how you came into this. We talked about the importance of the way data is driving what you guys are doing. And flashing back a few years, you started a staffing company called TailMed.
Yep.
How long ago was that?
Yeah, that was in 2006. 2006, yeah.
And so this was a nurse, a healthcare staffing company?
Yeah, so what it was, I grew up in corporate America.
Yeah.
So I was sitting on my back porch. My brother-in-law's an anesthesiologist, and he was talking to me about the staffing industry as a whole in the medical environment and how it's so driven by census. You know, if more patients, you need more people.
Okay.
Less patients, you don't need as much people, and how that's managed. So I was listening to him, and I wrote a business plan about that, and we launched it in 2006. And we started off just my wife and I, and we went from 4 employees to 4,000, and we became the 6th largest in the United States.
Yeah.
Loved it. It was a great experience, and stayed on board. And then we partnered with another entity out of Omaha, Nebraska. Together, we just continued to grow. And then I reached a stage in my life, and I said, you know what? I'm 60 years old. I want to get into that next chapter, and that's to make a big impact in Cincinnati. And so I still am on the board, and I stepped back as the CEO.
Yeah, I mean, this company grew into a pretty amazing entity, and then with that, you know, the merger that you're talking about there, this was a big deal company. You were in the national conversation for staffing on the medical side of things.
I appreciate
you really
your
were.
kindness. It takes a lot of work when you start a business, and you have to make that commitment. You've got to operate with great sound principles. You've got to be very disciplined in how you do it. And when you do that and you're great and you get great clients, great things can happen. And that's what we were fortunate to be part of.
Is it about seeing a whole, the way you've described a couple of things now, the way you founded TailMed and doing Impacting Tomorrow now, seeing a hole in the market, recognizing a need, and then you sat down and came up with a business plan on how I start something that fixes that need. Is that just sort of how you're wired?
Yeah, it is. My wife will tell you that too.
Okay.
You know, you see opportunity and you look at it and you're like, how can I do that better? Or what needs to happen here to make it great so you could be what I call a paradigm shift changer. And so in doing that, we recognized a need, found a niche, identified an operational way to approach it, and it changed the way the industry looked at things differently. And I enjoy doing that. I enjoy doing something that will make a change to help people for the better. And at the end of the day, that's what happened.
You also have talked now a couple times about how Impacting Tomorrow was founded along with your wife, and you worked with your wife in TailMed. I got to say, that's a very sort of specific relationship to be able to have where, you know, waking up, having a day, whether it's the weekend or not, and then also working together. That's a really unique relationship, I'd go so far as to say.
I get asked that a lot, by the way. I just want to let you know.
What's the
secret
secret
we've been
there?
married 38 years.
Yeah.
My wife and I, she's my best friend, wouldn't know what to do without her. One of the interesting things is you have to have a mutual understanding that business is business.
Okay.
And your personal life is your personal life. It took us a while to get used to that. It took us a while to understand that. But once we did, I'll tell you, there was no greater business partner I ever had, because she is the finance side. She understands the operational side. She was great at what she was great at, and I was great at what I was great at. And together we were able to sit in a room with a lot of other very talented people and build something that's what it is today.
And you've done it twice now. Is there like an aha moment, like what you were talking about just now, when you have this moment of realization of like, oh, she's a gear that's shaped like this, and I'm a gear that's shaped like this, and look at that, we both fit together?
I wish I could say, there's an aha moment, but it does in business. If your plan is good, you'll recognize the areas that you're not good at, and you'll recognize the areas that you have the strengths. So it's to be a great leader, you have to recognize your great strengths, and you have to recognize where I'm not good, and I got to find the right people to help me in this area. And a lot of people are scared sometimes, I'll say, in recognizing that you do have a weakness, and it's exposing yourself. It's like, I'm not good at this, and sometimes that's hard to say. I find no difficulty in saying that, and I know there's things I'm good at, and there's things I'm not good at. And so, for us to take a step back and make that vulnerable exposure there, in a sense, I think that's what made us great. That was one of many things that made us great.
That's remarkable. You said that it was really important for you to do something that had a positive impact in Cincinnati. Is this? Yeah. Did you grow up here? Are you from here?
No, Northeast Ohio. As we were talking earlier, Northeast Ohio, but came to college down here. Met my wife in college, and we stayed here. We love Cincinnati. Love the Reds. Love the Bengals. Just love being part of a community that cares. There's a lot of great people here that want to make a difference. Yeah. And we have some tremendous friends, able to do a lot of different things and give back.
I just think it's an interesting sort of arc. You know, Northeast Ohio, and was this an urban setting in Northeast Ohio, or was it a little more rural?
No, yeah, I was born in the country, out in a farm, and grew up with a huge farm in my backyard, and loved it.
Did you go to school for business specifically because you knew you wanted to start a company?
Interesting. I got my degree in psychology with a minor in Bible. That was exactly my background. My very first job out of school was I was a youth pastor at a large church here in Cincinnati, and enjoyed it, loved it. But then there was an individual at the church who came to me and said, "Hey, have you ever done project management?" And was able to work for a large public traded company that gave me tremendous training, and grew with that company and launched my career where before I knew it, I was managing the entire eastern part of the United States.
So because of your schooling and at least what your initial sort of educational plan was, in terms of starting things like TailMed and even the approach to impacting tomorrow, does that all come from a people person sort of standpoint, understanding the way people are? You were talking just now about people being honest with themselves about their own shortcomings. That's a very sort of psychology way of looking at it. Is that kind of your default lens to look through of trying to understand somebody and the way they're wired and the way they communicate?
I would say, I would say that I'm okay with who I am. I don't ever want to come across thinking I know it all. I respect people no matter where they're at in their journey, and I enjoy just building people up, making them better so that it can make their life better. And I believe the more we invest into people and we can teach and train and show a path to success, the better our community will be. So everything we did from a process standpoint within our company, we drove our people. So when we were in TailMed, we paid all of our employees to go volunteer in the greater Cincinnati area. We wanted to know what was out there. And so our employees became engaged in what they did. And when you go from a startup company to 4,000 employees, that's where Impacting Tomorrow started. Yeah. And then from there, we wanted to do more.
And, talking also about partnerships, and when you had TailMed, which I was incorrectly calling TailMed for the last few minutes, so thank you for being gracious enough on that.
All right.
The partnerships that you find as a business owner and when you're working with nonprofits that are trying to do good, forging these partnerships, that's something that's still fueling what Impacting Tomorrow is doing. I was looking at members of your board, and it's former P&Gers, and it's Fifth Third Bank folks, and it's Key Bank folks, and all that then fuels what you're doing.
Yeah, I've played more favor cards than I think I've ever played in my life. Yeah, we have an unbelievable board. Corporate America here in Cincinnati has really dove into impacting tomorrow. We've got folks from KeyBank, Fifth Third. We've got folks from Haran Investments. We've got folks from Gray Line Motor Coach, the CEO there, P&G. Those folks that were former executives or are currently now executives have really jumped into being what we're doing, seeing the opportunity and giving to it. And we have over 30 corporate partners. 30 corporate partners are involved with
and
Impacting
does that
Tomorrow.
data-driven approach that you've got, does that sort of fuel their decision and their level of involvement by being able to see that, hey, we're doing stuff that's actually having an impact on people versus just rolling a truck out and hoping that somebody shows up?
Yeah, I would say yes. And here's another thing I would say is our capabilities. What we're able to offer are key points that need to be addressed and identified for people to be successful. They see that. They see it every day in their business life. So together, we all created an environment that is driven by business, but for the people in this community.
Wow. That's, I can't think of a better bow to put on it than that. Ken Tracy is the co-founder of Impacting Tomorrow. It's a nonprofit based in Loveland that is doing tremendous work. It's the only holistic community center in the country offering food and healthcare, dental, education, all under one roof, and charting the growth and the effect that it's having on families here locally. Ken, thanks very much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate what you're doing for the community. We got to take a break. We'll be back with more Working Lunch after this.
Our beliefs matter. They're reflected in our words and actions. At First State Bank, we believe in treating people well and have since 1884. Listening, caring, looking out for each other. It's what people deserve. It's what a real local bank does. While lots of things have changed over the years, our belief in you hasn't. First State Bank, built on belief.
We welcome you from the Queen City. A Friday night in the Queen City of Cincinnati, Ohio. We welcome you from Cincinnati, Ohio. Nick Hadlin, the fan favorite, to put it away. Touchdown, Cincinnati. Oh, what a catch. Cincinnati can score. What a possession. And look who scores in the Reds game.
Cincinnati sports fans are the best. Loyal, passionate, second to none. This city lives and breathes sports, and now it finally has a morning show to match. I'm James Rapine, and this is First Word, the only morning sports show in Cincinnati and the place where every day starts. We break down the biggest moments and set the agenda for the city. Marissa Contepelli and Jacob Tissett join me to bring the insight and energy you need to start your day. The conversation starts with First Word. First Word, weekdays 7 to 11, part of the Crown Network.
This is the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Fritchner. Your home for college basketball in the Cincinnati area and across the country every Monday through Friday during the season. Previews, recaps, breakdowns, interviews, and more. You can find it all right here. Your one-stop shop for a quick dose of college hoops on your morning commute. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, my name is Natalie Jones, a Cincinnati native, and I have been in media for about 10 years now. Formerly on the radio here in Cincinnati, I grew my love and obsession with finding all things fun in Cincinnati and have now made it my life. I'm originally from the west side here, and then I've pretty much been a downtown girl ever since college. But I did leave for 7 years, and during that time, I really grew and harnessed and cut my teeth doing stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, learning how to ski in Colorado, and now I'm back here in Cincinnati, driven by curiosity and grounded by family.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. Boy, that was good talking with Ken about all the work that Impacting Tomorrow is doing. We are wrapping things up here on this, what day is it? It's Tuesday. The week is rolling on here. I want to let you know about a really cool event that I was lucky enough to be invited to be a part of last night. This comes from our friends at St. Vincent de Paul. They had their 19th annual Prescription for Fun, get it? Golf outing. That's at the Western Hills Country Club. This is an event specifically that raises money for SVDP's Charitable Pharmacy, which is a tremendous element among all the different things that St. Vincent de Paul does. That's a look at all the different raffle items that people were bidding on. Of course, you're bidding to be as part of the golf outing. There was a fundraising element for it afterward as well. The Charitable Pharmacy from St. Vincent de Paul is a free pharmacy, as you might imagine. It helps people get the medicine and the health care they need. It's been going for years, something like 20 years, I want to say. Last year, they filled more than 102,000 prescriptions, going to thousands of patients, people that can't afford medicine that they need. They also were instrumental in getting an Ohio law passed in the last few years, so certain medicines can be donated by individuals. That was something that you couldn't do before. It was a really impressive outfit that they're raising money for. This event, to raise the money, had two different shotguns going on. There was a morning golf shotgun, and then there was an afternoon. DJ Hodge, who you may have heard of here on The Crown, worked the morning crew. There he is, getting people to give money out of the morning crew. I had the privilege of charming the crowd to give after they had been out in the heat all day. So a little bit of an uphill battle, but it was a really great event. I'm very grateful to Caitlin Lanehart, you may recognize there, one of the early guests on the Working Lunch. She was instrumental and nice enough to invite me out. It was a really great event. I think we raised quite a bit of money for a really wonderful cause. I was honored to be a part of it. Shout out to St. Vincent de Paul for the good work that they're doing with the Charitable Pharmacy. Do we have time? Oh, we do have time. Good news, folks. Bread looks like abs now. First, you know, here's the thing. Sometimes you're scrolling on the internet and you come along a picture that's that captures your imagination so strongly that there's no way that you're not going to put it on your business TV show. So this is a product that comes from Wu Pao Chun, who is a Taiwanese baker. He's known for his actual bread that he makes. He won the title of Master Baker in the bread category of the 2010 Bakery Masters competition held in Paris. He's known for some really specific and unique breads that he makes. This rose lychee bread is really supposed to be impressive, but he also does like design and packaging for stuff. And that bread where the shirt's getting raised up, it was actually based on what I just did for you there. It's really funny, and I think that's really brilliant. marketing, and the idea that you can be a master baker, but you're known for the wrapping that goes around your bread is hilarious to me. He is the founder of the bakery chain Wu Pao Chun Bakery, as you might imagine, and that's just cool marketing. That's not even like a new picture. That's stuff from going back to like 23. That's old hat. And it made it on my radar, and I wanted to make sure you were aware of that as well. That's a brilliant piece of packaging and marketing as packaging. I would like to thank Ken Tracy, the co-founder of Impacting Tomorrow out of Loveland, a fantastic nonprofit that's doing a variety of work for folks and getting families in there and getting them help that they need all under one roof, treating them with dignity, using data to make the various offerings that they have for folks worthwhile. It's really impressive stuff, and I'd like to thank him for coming on the show. That's our show for the Working Lunch today. Here's all the different ways you can check us out on the internet and on TV. A number of viewing options for your convenience. Stream us live or on demand, cincycrown.com. You can also listen to us as a podcast. Mixlr is how you can listen to us live. Spotify, of course, is what we all know. There's a new Nat Tries That and a new Rebound Rundown that is dropping. Today's Tuesday. I believe it's dropping today. Check it all out. We're really happy to have you here. We're having a great time producing shows on The Crown. First Word is back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. This is The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. Thank you for watching.